Scientists at the National Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta today released the results of a study which shows that the lifestyle of some male homosexuals has triggered an epidemic of a rare form of cancer. Robert Bazell now in Atlanta.
Bobby Campbell of San Francisco and Billy Walker of New York both suffer from a mysterious, newly discovered disease which affects mostly homosexual men, but has also been found in heterosexual men and women. The condition severely weakens the body's ability to fight disease. Many victims get a rare form of cancer called Kaposi sarcoma. Others get an infection known as pneumocystis pneumonia. Researchers know of 413 people who have contracted the condition in the past year. 1/3 have died and none have been cured.
Death didn't scare me. It was living with this for a long time. That's more frightening than death.
It's mysterious, it's deadly, and it's baffling medical science. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Once thought to affect only promiscuous homosexual males, AIDS is now spreading in epidemic proportions to other segments of the population.
If the trends continue as they are, I think we can predict that the acquired immune deficiency syndrome is a highly fatal illness likely to remain with us for the next decade.
Good evening. The disease has already claimed more victims than Legionnaire's disease and toxic shock syndrome combined. More than 800 cases nationwide, 300 plus of those fatal. And every day, 3 more cases are identified. And yet, still, surprisingly few people are familiar with the acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or the acronym by which it's frequently identified, AIDS. The reason for that may lie in part in the character of its most common victims. When AIDS first cropped up about 18 months ago, almost all its victims were homosexual males who frequently changed sexual partners. Alarming enough to that particular segment of society, but, so it first appeared, not threatening to the public at large. But that seems to be changing, and the disease may be spreading.
Freddie Mercury, the flamboyant frontman of the veteran British band Queen, died Sunday in his West London mansion. He died peacefully at age 45 of bronchopneumonia brought on by AIDS. Mercury had lived as a recluse the last 2 years and made no public appearances earlier this year to promote Queen's last album, Innuendo. His death came just 1 day after he issued a statement to the press confirming that he had AIDS, ending many months of rumor and denial. The latest denial came only 2 weeks ago in the wake of Magic Johnson's admission that he is HIV positive. In the statement Mercury issued only 24 hours before his death, he said, "I felt it correct to keep this information private to date to protect the privacy of those around me. However, the time has now come for my friends and fans around the world to know the truth. And I hope everyone will join with me, my doctors, and all those worldwide in the fight against this terrible disease."
"22 years ago, in a decision rooted in fear rather than fact, the United States instituted a travel ban on entry into the country for people living with HIV/AIDS. Now, we talk about reducing the stigma of this disease, yet we've treated a visitor living with it as a threat. We lead the world when it comes to helping stem the AIDS pandemic, yet we are one of only a dozen countries that still bar people from HIV from entering our own country. If we want to be the global leader in combating HIV/AIDS, we need to act like it. And that's why on Monday, my administration will publish a final rule that eliminates the travel ban, effective just after the new year. Congress and President Bush began this process last year, and they ought to be commended for it. We are finishing the job. It's a step that will encourage people to get tested and get treatment. It's a step that will keep families together, and it's a step that will save lives.
It's one of medicine's biggest breakthroughs. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved Truvada, the first HIV prevention pill.
It's been studied, and in clinical trials, it's been shown to reduce the risk of transmission when used properly up to 90% in people who are engaging in high-risk activities.
And to explain more about it, we're now joined by Bruce Richmond. He's been at the forefront of the U=U campaign, beginning in the U.S. and now internationally, and he joins us right now in studio. So Bruce, thank you for this. So as I say, it's controversial, but let's begin with the basics here. What is U=U and the campaign around it?
U=U refers to undetectable is untransmittable, and it describes the point when a person living with HIV is on treatment and the viral load, or the amount of virus in their blood, is suppressed to a level that it's so low that it's undetectable. And when it's undetectable, that person cannot transmit HIV to their sexual partners.
So they cannot transmit it, which I think goes against what many people think, because for so long, for so many decades now, the key message in safer sex campaigns has been about condoms. But if it's now undetectable and untransmittable, does that mean then that condoms don't have to be used?
No, the campaign and the message isn't about throwing out condoms. It's another option in HIV prevention toolbox, and it's actually the safest option in the prevention toolbox. Having an undetectable viral load is the safest way to prevent the transmission of HIV, but condoms are necessary to prevent for STIs or unwanted pregnancies, so it's really just another really exciting tool that we have in this toolbox to prevent it.
So why is it important to get the message out in terms of trying to stop the spread of HIV/AIDS? Why is it important to send out this message that undetectable equals untransmittable?
First and foremost, it's critically important because it improves the lives of people living with HIV. It means that we can have intimacy and relationships and have babies without fear of transmitting the virus to our partners. We've been living and dying with HIV stigma for 35 years, and now we have an unprecedented opportunity to dismantle that stigma. So first and foremost, that should be enough just to improve our lives and end HIV stigma that affects everything in the epidemic. But we're also seeing that this is a shift in people living with HIV getting finding out that they're HIV positive, so getting tested, going on treatment and staying on treatment in order to save our lives and improve our health, but also to stop the spread to our partners.
And the argument being that if you rid the stigma of HIV/AIDS, people will be more willing to get tested, people will be more willing to go under treatment, and therefore end the spread of HIV/AIDS?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're seeing people use the U=U message in testing campaigns, in adherence campaigns, in campaigns that are encouraging people to stay in care, and I think as importantly of any of this, in advocacy to make sure that everyone has the option to go on treatment, so that, for our own health and also to prevent the spread of HIV.
I founded Central Outreach in 2015. Over my career, watched lots of people be forgotten by the medical system. If they didn't fit into the medical system the way it was, the medical system wouldn't bend to meet them where they were and to fulfill their needs. So to get them to engage in healthcare, we knew we had to do it differently. the real success of how we're able to treat people is because we don't judge, and we don't judge because many of us have been through the same thing.